Hello, I'm Michael King from MKA Partners. Thank you for visiting our website. Today I want to talk about using a one-page plan, which is a method of implementing change management. So the idea of the one-page plan is it sets out how you're going to change from one state to the next. And so to do that, it's pretty simple really. You just say, look, this is where we are now, this is where we want to go, and this is how we're going to get there. Now some people actually put the now and the where on one side of the page and put this on the back side of the page, on the flip side. And there are two arguments about that. Brevity in many ways is very, very helpful, just having it on one page, but sometimes when you need a little more space, I put the how on the back page. So let's just start off with now, and let's have a look at where we are now. And for that we might have a look at something like, what's our vision like? What's our mission? What's our values? And what are our measures? We might always say, look, what's our marketing look like? What do our operations look like? What are our human resources or our people? The most important part of the business, our people. We might actually talk about our finances. We might talk about innovation, and we might talk about the 9 building blocks of the business model. So by and large, we can also talk about sales, sales channels, customers, competitors, processes, all sorts of things that go to make up the business now. And you can do that in a variety of ways. So once you've got, look, this is where we think we are, usually when you reach that stage, you're a bit dissatisfied, right? You're a little bit unhappy. So that unhappiness, that emotional driver, will push you into creating a new vision out here. And to create the vision, you might say, well, what do we want this business to look like 3 years from now? Okay? Well, the business model might change. The customer segments might change. Or we might be inventing a new product for which, like an iPad, for which there's no customer segment presently. So you can actually go through all of these various things. You might go through the 9 building blocks of the business model. You might you might use another model. You might say, look, what's our competitive advantage look like? What's our value proposition going to be? Is that going to change? What's the financial outcome going to look like? And you might go 3 years, 2 years, 1. It just depends how you feel. But at the end of the day, you normally end up with a vision that's usually, say, about 1 year out. And you usually measure that, break that into segments and measure it quarterly. So this is where we are now, and this is where we want to go. So how are we going to get there? Well, if we take our strengths and weaknesses and use a strategic SWOT, or do it backwards and use a TOWS, they're matters I can talk to you about in another video. But for the moment, we'll develop strategies. And in this case, we're saying, look, one of our strategies has been that we want to double the sales. So to double the sales, we'd want to know that that in fact really is an objective. So we would actually say our objective is double sales. Our measure would be sales, and the target would specify the number, whether it's in units or whether it's in dollars. And for each one of those things, we would actually have, like, have we got the right sales process? Are we using the right channel? Are we using the internet? Are we using wholesalers? However we intend to get to the market. Then down here we might say, have we got the right sales process, the right sales collateral, and the right sales training, and so on. And we would take all of those actions and we'd say, well, who's going to do them? That, by the way, is a little man, and that says, who's going to do it, and by when is he going to do it? And in each case, while we've got an overall measure, we might have an individual KPI, or we might have several individual KPIs for each particular action. It just depends. Usually in a small business, just one's usually quite good enough. Sometimes you do need 2 or 3. We might also say we're going to change our product range, and we would have probably done something like a product portfolio analysis in the background, would have probably told us that. And we'd say, how are we going to do it? What are the 3 or 4 actions we're going to take? Who's going to do them? By when? And what's the key KPI for that one particular action? So you might do this on one page, or you might be writing this on the flip side. It just depends. Then you might be looking at operations, and you might say, look, we've got to get some lean principles going here. Like, for example, in an accountancy practice, you'd say how many times are people picking up and putting down files, because we know that that's wasteful. The other type of lean principle that we might be using is we've got too many products in our product range. Another lean principle that we might use would be process flow. Is the process flow too slow, and how can we speed it up? Who's going to do it and by when? So we would take all of these actions, these high-level actions, if we were doing this at board level, and we would break them down. And that's the subject of another video that we'll do later. But firstly, I just want to say that in every change management process that you go through, whether it's in marketing, operations, human resources, your people, the most important asset you've got, or in your finances, you always say, this is where I am now, this creates dissatisfaction. Then we say, this is where we want to go, that's the vision, that's driving the propeller, and then this is how we're going to get there, and this is what we monitor on a monthly, quarterly, even sometimes, some people in the early stages might like that even weekly. But at MKA, we never ever do these plans. We will not be involved in developing these plans unless we're there to help you implement them and overcome the issues that you will encounter along the way. So at MKA, this is all great, the one-page plan, but we're implementers, and if you want to implement what you're doing, then stay on board with MKA Partners.